Okay, Jonas, go. Evet. Kong MC.
Good afternoon, fellow Rotary leaders, fellow Rotarians. Welcome to our Zone 10A Endowment and Major Gifts online training seminar. May I call on EMGA PDG Jess Nicdao for the call to order.
Thank you, Go Bebet. By the power vested in me, I now call this 2022 Endowment in Major Gifts Training Seminar open. Thank you.
Thank you, Past District Governor Jess Nicdao. Now for the invocation, may I call on Past District Governor Mariluco.
Thank you. Let us all bow our heads for our opening prayer. Dear Lord, we offer this gathering to you and ask you to bless it with your wisdom and grace. We thank you for this opportunity to be together, to grow in our love and service to you and to each other. We ask you to enlighten our mind, to know what is true and just, and strengthen our wills to carry out faithfully what we come to see our duty. May all our thoughts, words, and actions be directed to make your name and your love better known among men, for their sanctification and their happiness here and in eternity. We ask you, Lord, to watch over us with your loving eyes, embrace us with your mighty arms, comfort us with your reassuring word, protect us with your awesome power, and bless us with your unceasing goodness. Amen.
Amen.
Now for the national anthem, Past President Jonas, AVP, please.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang magiging, telas ng sinakanan, alam ng puso, sa titik mo'y buhay. Upang hinirang, kuyak ka ng magiting, sa manlulupin, di ka pasisigil, sa nagatang tutok sa simoy at sa langit ang bagaw, ay hinatang tula, kawin sa pagkayang minamahal, ang isang ng patawad mo'y tagumpay na nag-iindig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan ang may di magdidinig, lupa ng araw ng waragin pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Aming ligaya na pagkay mga amin, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Okay, good afternoon again. I'm tasked to introduce our dignitaries and leaders for this afternoon's training. Let me start to recognize our outgoing regional EMGA, past District Governor Jess Nicdao, who has inspired us to do very well this Rotary year. And I believe he will be an advisor for the Rotary Foundation Board. Tama ba, Gob, Jeff? And also, let me recognize our incoming regional EMGA, also another very good friend for 22-23, past District Governor June Farcon, who just graduated from RRFC Gob. Walang graduation ka pala kasi tuloy-tuloy, no?
Hindi, meron. Last
Meron.
Monday.
Last Monday, okay.
Graduate kami ni Jess.
Pareho kayong dalawa. And another very good friend of mine. I don't know, how I call him, drinking buddy, because I don't drink. He drinks for me actually. DRFC and MGI for WASH. DRFC Ebet Olivan from District 3820. And also let me recognize our only non-Rotarian but significant participant, FDS Gretchen Laurel of the Rotary International. Let me continue acknowledging the rest of the leaders of this group. For wala pa yata si ano no, 377. So let me skip. Let me introduce past President Arnel from District 3780. And past district governor, nandiyan na ba si Bit? Wala. Is go Bit here na? Let me see. Wala pa yata. Andiyan na? Okay, kanina wala pa. And past, nandito na. Oh, there he is. And of course, past district governor Bit from District 3790. And past district governor Marilo Co, my classmate, our Rose among the group, from District 3800, and a new friend, si past President Yoli Di Castro from District 3810. I believe he will be our workhorse for this group kasi narinig ko ang dami niyang ano, major gift giving. And also past President Eric Tensuan, wala. Wala pala. No? Wala pa si Eric? Hindi. Wala. Sorry. And last but not the least, District Governor nominee Carol Lee Andrade from District 3860. And I guess that's it, no? Wala na. Maraming absent pa. So, good afternoon again.
Si Aboy.
Carlito.
Si Aboy, oh, I'm sorry. Si Aboy pala. Aboy is, his name is Arnel ba?
Hindi, Carlito.
Carlito. Carlito. Layo sa Aboy sorry, I skip past President Aboy Go from District 3820. My apology. Thank you and welcome to this afternoon's training.
Thank you, past district governor Lindon. Now for the welcome remarks and overview of training, let me call on incoming EMGA, past district governor June Farcon.
Thank you so much. Incoming DRFC Ebet and also our Major Gives Initiative Advisor for Water, Sanitation, and Hygiene. Ebet Olivan, also a global president, so global baby namin. A champion governor. Good afternoon. As I have mentioned, this is a small group. This is a special training exclusively for District Endowment and Major Gifts Subcommittee Chair of the 10 districts in Zone 10A Philippines. And I'm so happy because joining us, of course, our Senior TRF Advisor for Zone 10A Philippines. He graduated as EMGA last Monday, together with me as RRFC. So, incoming International Fund Development Committee member of the Rotary Foundation Board of Trustees Committee, Jess, Nicdao. And also, of course, FDS Gretchen. And we have also with us from my district, she used to be, or she's an incumbent Major Gifts Initiative Advisor for Maternal and Child Health, past District Governor Marilo Co. But next year, she will serve as District Endowment and Major Gifts Subcommittee Chair. And let me also greet all of you Good afternoon. I just received an email from our EMGA specialist. Her name is Lindsay Clark. And the reason why I received an email from her, it's because I asked guidance on how we can conduct this kind of training to our district subcommittee chairs for endowment and major gifts. What she replied in her email, she said, well, for one, the good news is that there are only 2 zones in the whole world which adopted this kind of training. And of course, Philippines is one of the 2 zones. And the other one is Italy. And according to Lindsay, Philippines will be the first in the whole world to have this kind of training. So apparently in the past, we have the EMGA working really without being aided by a team. And the reason why I asked permission, it's because I don't want to be accused of trying to invent something or trying to do something that is not allowed. And according to her, we are on the right track because this is an innovation. And she even asked me if she can include as one of the best practices for all EMGAs in the world to have this kind of training for the District Endowment and Major Gifts Committee. Well, the other good news is that the other country which will have this kind of training, which is Italy, their training will happen in August. And according to Lindsay, you might want to invite some of your participants to also go to Italy to become speakers. Of course, wala naman maniniwala sa akin. So baka virtual lang din ang kanilang training. Anyway, Jess, I was just saying, we're lucky to have this kind of training for our district endowment and major gift subcommittee chairs because we are also being recognized by EMGA specialist Lindsay Clark as a pioneer in this kind of activity. So it's not going to be long. We just allotted 3 hours all in all. And the topics will be relevant to your position. And I'm sure for most of you, it will come as a review. Because as I have mentioned earlier, the good thing is that our EMGA Jess Nicdao has really laid the groundwork, has prepared all of us for this kind of activities. And for the last 3 years, we have seen that there is already awareness. And we owe that to our outgoing EMGA Jess Nicdao. But of course, just like any team, we have to be equipped, we have to be prepared, and we have to plan. And this is the kind of activity that we need to be able to do all of those. Training, planning, and working as a team. So with that, let me just welcome everybody again. I cannot say enjoy because this is a learning session. I hope Lyndon will not sleep and, and will pay attention. But don't worry, this is recorded. So everything can be shared and all PowerPoint materials will also be shared. So you don't have to take screenshots because we will give everybody a copy of the materials that we will have this afternoon. Thank you, and back to you, my favorite pamangkin, Evet.
Thank you, Uncle Gob. So we now come to the training proper, no? So our first speaker would discuss on the roles and responsibilities and our district structures, no? So let me introduce him. Our speaker is the outgoing Regional Rotary Foundation Coordinator and now incoming Endowment and Major Gifts Advisor for Zone 10A Philippines. A Rotarian since 1985 from the Rotary Club of Marikina, District 3800. He spent more than 3/4 of his life pursuing his Rotary journey of service. And everything that he does for Rotary, he always leave a mark of excellence. So, friends, let us all welcome my Uncle Governor, the Global Governor, Virgilio June Farcon from District 3800.
Alam mo, na sobrang excited ako to turn it over to you. Hindi ko pa pala naibigay yung overview.
Oh, yun. Okay. Sige, go.
Anyway, idodoktor ko na before I give the talk, after my talk, which is really the roles and responsibilities and the district structure for our group, is that we will have an in-depth talk on building up the endowment fund 2025 by 2025. This will be explained by outgoing EMGA Jess Nicdao. And then after Jess will be the talk of FDS Gretchen Laurel on the 4-step process. Okay, she will walk us through on how to do fundraising using the 4-step process. And then after Gretchen, it will be again me, and my topic, the last topic for this afternoon, will be the donor is always right. And in this segment, I will give you an insight of what will be the profile of donors, not just in the Philippines, but also worldwide. And at the same time, present some facts, some statistics on major gifts and endowment. Okay, so let me start with my topic. Okay.
Ano bang ibang ginagawa mo? Para magawa mo dito habang nandito ako. Ano bang ibang ginagawa mo? Wala naman. Maliban din sa yung mga
Jonas, can you see it now?
Yes po. Wala pa siya sa slideshow view. Ayan, okay. Nasa presentation na.
Okay. So again, good afternoon, everybody. First, I will tell you about the role of the EMGA, and then we'll proceed to the role of the Endowment and Major Gifts Chair. And then let's see how we will fit into the district and the regional structure. So the first question is, before anything else, what is EMGA, or the Endowment and Major Gifts Advisor? Okay, so what is an EMGA? As you all know, he or she is the primary resource for major gifts and endowment matters. Okay? And just like the other regional leaders, the EMGAs work side by side with the Regional Rotary Foundation Coordinator, the Rotary Regional Public Image Coordinator, the Rotary Coordinator, and the End Polio Now Coordinator. And we also collaborate with the RI staff or partner, or in certain zones, they are called the Fund Development Specialists. So in the Philippines, we have Gretchen Laurel assigned to us as FDS. She is working directly or under the supervision of Rotary International South Pacific and Philippines office. So just like any regional leader, the EMGA receives training from RI, usually in Evanston, Illinois. But in my case, I was not able to have an in-person training. It was a virtual training because of the pandemic. But you see, if it's an in-person event, ganito yung itsura. Ano? You're going to go to Evanston, just like me and Jess when we were I was then the RRFC. Kung hinahanap nyo kung nasaan ako, yan ako. That was in 2019. So it's a good chance really to network with the other regional leaders, not just the EMGA or RRFCs. They include as well RCs and the RPICs and the End Polio Now coordinator. Okay. So EMGAs have expertise in the 4-step process. This will be explained fully by Gretchen: identification, cultivation, solicitation, and stewardship. And we're supposed to be experts also on not just endowment fund, but also annual fund, Polio Plus, Rotary Peace Centers, and the areas of focus. And of course, on giving vehicles, outright gifts, pledges, and bequests. So EMGAs increase Rotarians' participation in major gifts, fundraising, and encourage giving to the Rotary Foundation, or boost the giving to the endowment and boost the overall impact of the Rotary Foundation. So in general, the EMGAs, they develop personalized plans for identifying, cultivating, and soliciting donors in the region. By the way, Philippines, while we are familiar with Zone 10A, we are also part of Region 11. Region 11. We are also called Region 11. So EMGA solicit gifts, major gifts, 25,000 and above. Later, I will explain by definition, yung definition of major gifts. But ang EMGA, that the responsibility is really 25,000 and above. And then we build this relationship with individual prospects and donors. And we promote major giving opportunities, not just with Rotarians, but also other non-Rotarians. So we also help set up, help the district set and reach foundation goals and research giving patterns. You know, you will be surprised. There are so many reports in our website that can give you donation patterns or giving patterns. And they can also give you who among the Rotarians are already near level 1 or near level 2, level 3, and can now be approached to level up for this year. So strategize throughout the 4-step process and then assess the district readiness. I'm so happy that all the 10 districts, I think this is a good news for all of us. We have filled up all 10 district endowment and major gifts. Sabi nga ni Goblin doon, yung District 3770, hinati pa yung endowment and major gifts. So we have a total of 11 committed Rotarians forming part of the team of district endowment and major gifts subcommittees. And then we also connect to RI director, foundation trustees, and the fund development staff. So EMGAs work directly with donors and support district leadership in fundraising activities. So they bring value to the district by raising awareness of the endowment fund and soliciting donations that can result in more DDF for the district. So sometimes you have this wrong notion that when you say endowment and major gifts, they're no longer involved in other aspects of the Rotary Foundation like annual fund, polio. No, the reality is that they play an important and a major role, as I will explain later. Okay, so why work with the MGA? Because of course we have to identify the prospects in your district, establish what we have now, the district endowment and major gift subcommittees, to help further identify, cultivate, steward donors or prospective donors, and then communicate regularly on potential donors and do the cultivation process. And then we also provide a forum for EMGAs to engage and train Rotarians in your district. So it will be possible. I'm sure you are all open, because I cannot cover the whole Philippines alone. I'm just one. I don't have any assistant. So with your permission, I would like to work with you and train you and ask you to be also a speaker in your district Rotary Foundation event on matters relating to endowment and major gifts. Okay, so this is the purpose of the training, so that we can empower you to do the same, just like what the EMGAs are doing worldwide. And of course, to include in district, zone, and regional foundation event, donor recognition opportunities. As will be explained siguro later, we have a budget, and on top of our budget, we are also given budget for donor recognition activities. So yung mga induction of AKS and other big donor events. Okay, so what are the benefits of the district endowment and major gift subcommittee? So number one, of course, the subcommittee create a structure to identify, cultivate, and steward donors at the district level. Okay, and then subcommittees increase the endowment's visibility. So kayo yung Marines. Okay, you will be the first at the district level. And then EMGA can collaborate with the district endowment and major gift subcommittee chair to reach out to appropriate Rotarians in the district. So what does this mean? We can work together as a team. Because you're in a position to know them, to identify them, to know them, and then if you want, we can do this together. How to convince them to become major gifts donors, and how to, if they want to set up an endowment fund, to help them in this aspect. So the teamwork will produce more district endowed funds, and in the process, because the spendable earnings will go to the DDF, then more DDF. This is an idea, or you can have an idea of the structure at the regional level. So we're under the RI director, and zone RI or supervising RI director is Jessie Harman from Australia, Zone 8. Of course, the regional staff support, we have RRFC, the EMGA, Polio Zone, or now Polio Now Zone Coordinator, Rotary Public Inmates, and Rotary Coordinator. And then they have their assistant, regional coordinators. Sa lahat, ang wala lang assistant, yung EMGA. But I'm so lucky because I'm also ably assisted by the district endowment and major gift subcommittee chairs. So maski wala akong assistant, meron namang ano. And then under the assistant regional coordinators will be the DRFC if it's DRF, the district public image chair if it's public image, and district membership chair if it's Rotary coordinator or membership. So this is the regional Rotary Foundation team for 22-23. For RRFC, you know him already. It's the clubmate of past President Arnel from San Francisco del Monte, Penny Policarpio. I will be the EMGA to succeed Jess. And then Polio now coordinator has been retained. It will still be Mayan Solomon. And then we have the RI staff under us, under Paramata, Gretchen Laurel, Mark Anderson, Robert Byrne, Chrissy Panston. And then in the Philippines, or in Zone 10A, our Assistant Regional Rotary Foundation coordinators, there will be 5 of them. So JP Kadaing from 3790, Gina Sanchez from 3800, Tato Di Mayuga from 3820, Connie Beltran for 3810, and Reese Reyes for 3860. For 3860. So what will be the role, okay, asan ang EMG or Endowment and Major Gifts? If you're familiar with this graph, alam mo ba na mayroong mandatory positions for Rotary Foundation and there will be optional positions. Ang ating district endowment and subcommittee chair, dito siya pumapasok under optional. That's why in the past hindi siya talaga napipila pa, because some district governors have not really understood well the importance of this. And we're happy because all the 10 districts filled up this optional position. Okay? So yan yung ano natin, the district governor is recognized as our head, and under district governor is the DRFC, and then all the mandatory and the optional subcommittees. Okay. So ano yung magiging trabaho ng Endowment and Major Gifts Subcommittee Chair? So at your level, you will establish the district benefactor. So you can have a district benefactor member of your committee, and then bequest society and major gifts. Kanina, we have seen 3770 splitting the two, isang endowment, isang major gifts. But at your level, you can have this. May benefactor, may bequest, and then major gifts, and then of course endowment. But you will be the one responsible for all of this. And then inform Rotarians of planned giving opportunities. Ano yung planned giving opportunities? So I will share materials on Rotary Legacy. So this will be explained much in details by both Jess and Gretchen. But it is really about what will be your legacy in this world. It's a commitment. Now, even if you're gone, you know that your resources can still work and can still do good in this world. Okay? So work with presidents to recognize mga Rotarians, giving for today. So, sino-sino yun? So when you say giving for today, these are outright gifts. So major donors or major gifts and AKS. And then tomorrow, ibig sabihin, these are pledges, commitments, which will happen probably when we are no longer here. So ano-ano yan? So benefactors and bequest society members. Bequest society members. So what else can be we should expect from the district endowment and subcommittee chairs? Well, we coordinate efforts with the annual fund subcommittee chair. Okay, so we work hand in hand with the, in some district they call this the fundraising chair, subcommittee on fundraising. In our district, it's annual fund chair. Yun yung mas popular sa aming district. And then of course, coordinate the 4-step process and potential donors to the endowment fund. So I'm so happy na at this early, we have not even started yung aming district ay meron ng ready. And I'm also happy to know that 3810 through past President Yoli De Castro is also very excited na meron na silang 3, 2 na yung ready na talaga. And then they have 2 more. And I hope the same will be true with the other districts. And then, of course, you work with me and philanthropic organizations. And also, we have to explore this. And I want to get your support because later, in my last topic on the donor is always right, you will see the statistics on bequest society. And there are so many districts which do not have yet or 0 bequest society members. So I want to get your cooperation, support. Probably it's now time to start this aspect of endowment, yung estate planning. Okay, so what every club can do, I hope you're really going to do this, okay? I want you to go to the clubs, okay, as guest speaker to present to the club what is this endowment and major gifts all about, okay? And all of us are also expected to contribute to the endowment fund in addition to the annual fund and polio. So dagdag. And then appoint a benefactor chair for your committee. And last is on the left side, if you're facing the screen, this is a brochure which I will give you copies later on. I hope you can ask the clubs to print this in their club bulletin, so that there will be awareness among the members of the clubs. So mas mabilis kasi kung everybody can read about this legacy, your legacy Rotary's promise. Okay, I think that's the end of the slide. So you will work with me to encourage and Rotary clubs in your district so that the Rotary Foundation will be their charity of choice. Thank you at maraming salamat. Back to you, Ebet.
Thank you. Incoming EMGA from Farcon.
Yeah.
Alam na namin kung anong gagawin namin ng trabaho. No? Pasisimplin ba ang trabaho mo? Okay. For our next speaker, is an active member of the Rotary Club of Western Pampanga, Philippines. He is a recipient of the Rotary Foundation's Citation for Meritorious Service and the Distinguished Service Award. He and spouse Mimi are members of the prestigious Farcon Society, or AKS. In 2008-2009, he served as District Governor of District 3790. And in April 2013, he received the prestigious Service Above Self Award from Rotary International. He was Rotary International President's representative to the 2014 District 1180 DISCON in Manchester, England. And in the 2019 District 3502 DISCON in Taoyuan City, Taiwan. And the 2020 District 3800 Virtual District Conference. He will be a member of the Rotary Foundation Fund Development Committee for Rotary years 2022 to 2025, after serving as EMGA for Rotary years 2019 to 2022, and RRFC or Regional Rotary Foundation Coordinator for Rotary years 2016 to 2019. He was a lead facilitator of the 2021 Regional Leaders Global Institute, the District Trainers Seminar Training Leader of the 2021 Singapore Rotary Zone Institute, and the trainer of the 2021 GETS and GNTS. Fellow Rotary leaders, let us welcome past District Governor Jess Nicdao.
Thank you. Thank you, Gobebet, for that kind introduction. Let me just share my screen. Yan. Can you see my screen now?
Yes po, we can see your screen.
Thank you. I just want to greet everyone, EMGA, incoming EMGA agent for Farcon, my compadre, Fund Development Specialist Gretchen Laurel, my fellow past district governors, and incoming or district governor nominee Kai, the incoming endowment and major gifts subcommittee chairpersons, my fellow Rotarians, good afternoon. Before I proceed to my topic of 2025 by 2025, let me just share with you the ways to contribute to the foundation. Kasi yung iba nakakalimutan nila na kala nila dalawa lang yung sinusuportahan nating funds. So of course the annual fund is where contributions are held and invested for 3 years before the funds are made available for programs and grants. To us Philippine Rotarians, this is the most popular, di ba? Kasi nga we know very well that the funds that we donate to the annual fund, 50% will go back to our district after 3 years. Okay? And then of course, the Polio Plus Fund. This is always and has been the primary initiative of Rotary. We are very close to eradicating polio, but there is still work to be done. And so we must still contribute to the polio plan because we made a promise to the children of the world and we will fulfill that promise. The next one, the term gift and directed giving. Ito hindi rin masyadong popular to. But this type of gifts or donations can be used by donors to meet their specific wishes to support global grants within a specific period of time, generally within 1 or 2 years. I think this will be discussed later or during the open forum. And then the last one will be, of course, the endowment fund. The endowment fund was launched in 1996. This was the first endowment fund initiative. The initial goal during that time was to raise 200 million in 10 years. But we were able, 200 million in 10 years, tama. But we were able to hit our goal 6 years ahead of schedule, building a base for the foundation. Parang yung when we also started the Polio Plus Fund, we hit our goal months ahead of our target date. Okay, now let me show you how we fared during the last 2 years, yung philanthropy update. So that you will also know how endowment funds or the endowment fund fared during these last 2 years. This graph of summary of contribution will show you that despite the pandemic hitting the world in March 2020, our 2020-21 contributions hit 440.7 million against a goal of 410. Hindi ba napakalaki niyan? Considering the pandemic, binigyan tayo ng 410 million target, which is above the previous year's target or goal of 400 million. But we hit 440 million. And look at endowment. The goal was 85 million. We were able to raise $102 million. This Rotary year, again, our target is 410 million. And as of the end of April, alam mo naman, medyo nadidelay yung mga data natin ngayon, we already hit $352 million. And I'm not only confident, I'm sure that we will hit again our target of $410 million. And if you look at the cumulative, you'll be surprised. The amount that we raised for the annual fund total is already 3 billion. For the endowment fund, it's 1.3 billion. Portfolio, we are nearing 2 billion already. And for the others is 328 million, giving us a total contribution of 6.5 billion. Napaka-generous ng mga Rotarians, no? $6.5 billion. Ito, kung minsan, ano na to eh, budget na ng isang bansa ito. Diba? Okay. Now, do you know how much is our total goal for next year? Your first year as a member of the Endowment Fund Group, we will raise $430 million next year. So this is way, way above all the other goals in the foundation giving. This should be the highest ever goal of the Rotary Foundation. Can we do it? I'm sure we can with all your help and with all the innovations that we're doing in raising funds for the foundation. We can do it. Now let me just brief you. Nasabi na kanina ni Gov. June kung ano yung endowment fund. But what is the meaning of endowment fund? An endowment fund, quite simply, is money set aside or invested to earn revenue to fund some type of charity activity. Unlike a typical investment fund, the beneficiary of an endowment fund is a non-profit organization, like in our case, the Rotary Foundation. And then the principal value of the endowment fund is kept intact. Hindi yan binabawasan, hindi yan ginagasta. While the investment earnings from the endowment, from the fund, can be used for charitable grants to non-profit organizations. Again, in our case, the Rotary Foundation. Thus, an endowment fund can be held permanently, allowing donors to support causes they care about in perpetuity, with emphasis on the word perpetuity. What is the Rotary Foundation Endowment Fund? You know, the endowment fund of our foundation is invested and professionally managed to provide each year another source of funding and ensures that Rotary will retain its strength as an organization in perpetuity. In perpetuity. Again, emphasis on perpetuity by providing future generations of Rotarians more financial resources to do good in the world. Imagine, kahit wala na tayo dito sa mundo, yung na-raise nating funds for the endowment fund will continue to do good in the world, to be used by future Rotarians in perpetuity. Again, let me emphasize, yung mga funding sa Rotary Foundation, wala pong ano yan. Wala tayong away kung saan ibibigay. It depends on the donor. Kung saan siya maligaya, kung saan niya napupusuan na ibigay yung donation niya, kung saan niya nakikita na mas makikinabang yung gusto niyang projects. Okay? The annual funds or the annual gifts that we give to the Rotary Foundation help people around the world live better lives today. Ibig sabihin, ginagamit natin ito. But, you know, planning a gift to the Rotary's Endowment Fund supports this saying, pareho, life-changing programs forever. Forever. Again, with emphasis on forever. Now, what is our goal? The goal is building the Rotary Foundation Endowment 2025 by 2025. Anong ibig sabihin nito? What does this mean? You know, at the end of Rotary year 2020-2021, our endowment fund stands at $1.548 billion with $666 million in net assets and $882 million in commitments. Yung 666, ano na yun? Cash na yun, net assets na yun. Yung 882 commitments, meaning these are endowed funds that will be called by the foundation once the donor dies. So, and these are legal commitments coming from different donors. What are our objectives? Of course, our first objective is to raise awareness of Rotary's endowment, and which we are doing, which I'm doing now. Kasi sabi nga ni Gob Jun kanina, before I even became an EMGA, yung mga endowment natin, endowment fund ng Philippine Rotary, they're more than 20 years old already or 15 years old. Na after that, wala nang nag-endowment fund. Because most Filipino Rotarians do not know that there is an endowment fund, or we need to grow the endowment fund. Okay? And the next one is soliciting outright gifts. Kasi yung raising awareness, that is cultivating donors, di ba? Once you raise awareness, you cultivate donors about giving to the endowment fund. So, saan ako magbibigay? Annual fund ba? Polio Plus fund ba? O endowment fund? Ang sagot ko palagi, pwede naman sa lahat, di ba? Pwede mo namang hati-hatiin yung pagbibigay mo. So, ganun siguro yung strategy natin. And then we solicit new outright gifts and commitments. Pwede namang hindi cash, and I'll explain that later. And then, of course, the last one would be stewarding existing donors. You know, we have thousands of donors to the foundation na nakapagbigay na at handa pang magbigay, and they're willing to give more to the foundation. What we have to do is just steward these existing donors. Palagi natin silang nire-recognize about their donations so that they will continue donating to the Rotary Foundation, so that by the year 2025, our endowment fund will become 20-25 million or 2,025 million. Anong mangyayari nun? By that time, we anticipate the foundation's endowment having a minimum of $1 billion in net assets, with the balance in expectancies and bequest type commitments. Imagine the good we will be able to do with a $2 billion endowment. Kung minsan tinatanong nila, kung meron na tayong 2 billion endowment, what is the impact of this? You know, in 2008, we only get 7.5 million of spendable earnings from the endowment fund. Meaning, ang kinita ng endowment fund natin in 2007 and 2008 is only 7.2 million. But that's already a lot of money. In fact, that is more than the global grants that we are getting from the Philippines. But imagine 10 years after, the amount increased to $15.5 million, more than double what it was 10 years ago. In the last Rotary year, the amount of earnings further increased to $21.1 million. Ito lang yung earnings, ha? So again, that's a lot of money, $21.1 million. You know, dati ang average nating mga global grants, mga $70 million. Imagine if you had 21 million to 70 million, that's 90 million. You're probably getting 30% more global grants in the future. But, you know, when we reach 2025, the year 2025, our endowment will provide approximately $50 to $75 million in spendable earnings each year, every year. Hindi natin ginagalaw yung pondo natin, hindi ginagalaw yung pera. Ini-invest lang natin at ginagamit natin yung earnings. 50 to 75 million in spendable earnings. That's probably the sum of the global grants that we get from the Rotary Foundation. Imagine the good that will be done by you and me and the future Rotarians using these financial resources to meet the needs of the future. The amount will add up to the funds to be used for our district and global grants. Now, paano ba mag-create ng legacy? Tayo, yung district natin, yung mga clubs natin. How do we encourage donations to the endowment fund? First one is the Endowment World Fund. If you donate to the endowment fund and you did not direct kung saan ibibigay yung gift na yon, then the trustees will decide or will direct support where it is most needed around the world. So, trustee directed na yan. Ibig sabihin, sila magde-decide kung saan gagamitin yung earnings ng endowment fund if it is not specified kung saan ibibigay. But there is a gift to endowment share. Now, this is the type where 50% of earnings go back to your district as DDF and the other 50% to the World Fund in just after a year. 1 year lang, hindi maghihintay ng 3 years ito. After 1 year, yung kikitain, 50% will already go back to your district and the other 50% to the World Fund. So this DDF can be used for district and global grants, and of course the money that will go, the earnings that will go to the World Fund can be used to match our global grants. You know, the average earnings in the last 10 years is 4.2%. I think now it's going higher to about 7%. And this is one of the reasons why the ratings of the foundation's financial management is 100%. 100%. 4-star rating from the Rotary, from Charity Navigator for the last 14 years. 14 years that we are getting a 4-star rating from Charity Navigator, higher than the Gates Foundation. Why? Because our money is well invested and we are only using 9% of our money for administrative cost. Yung ibang foundation, mga 30% goes to administrative cost. Now, give to the endowment fund today and watch as the value of your gift grows and investment earnings improve communities. Here's a sample graph of how the earning and value of donations made to the endowment fund. Yung 25,000 donation earnings increases every year. And after 20 years, total earnings is already 29,000. Ibig sabihin, ang kinita niya 29,000, which went back to the district of the donor. And the market value is already $30,000. And the donation, the money continues to earn and continues to support the programs of the foundation. Diba? Napakaganda. Now, you can personalize your fund. You can personalize your legacy with a separately identified fund that bears your name. If you want yung endowment fund mo, it can bear your name, your family's name, or the name of a loved one. Alam mo, yung mga, I've seen some Japanese and Taiwanese donors naming their endowment funds to their late parents, ganon, late father or mother, or the name of a loved one. And with larger gifts, it may be possible to more narrowly direct the use of the funds to specific programs or regions. The minimum amount to establish a name fund is $25,000. And over the last 3 years, we have seen individual Rotarians, clubs, and districts registering their own name endowed fund. You know, there are special opportunities available to create and name a customized fund within the endowment fund. Options vary depending upon the size and purpose of the gift. For a minimum of $25,000, as I mentioned earlier, you can have a district or a named endowment fund. Ano yung district endowed fund? This is a minimum of $25,000, and this is ideal, excuse me, when you have a pool of donors, na maraming donors, like 25 donors with a minimum of 25 or $1,000 per donor. Okay, pwedeng yung iba, 2,000, pwedeng 5,000, so it depends. Kung minsan, umaabot yan ng $50,000 eh. You can also have a name endowed fund. This is also a minimum of $25,000. And this is ideal when you have an individual or a couple donating to the fund. Anyone, you can name the fund to anyone. Sabi ko nga kanina, to your loved one or to yourself, to your parents, or kung ano yung wish mo, yon. And we can also have larger name funds, 150,000 or more global grant endowed fund. This is a customized endowed fund that supports grants for humanitarian projects, scholarships, or vocational training teams. Meron tayong $250,000 or more. Global Grant Endowed Fund. Again, this is a customized fund that supports up to 3 of the options below. Humanitarian projects, district grant, any areas of focus, any of the areas of focus, or geographic locations, such as Africa, Asia, or Latin America. And then you have $500,000 or more. This can support up to 3 of the options below. Okay? So ang daming pagpipilian, di ba? Now, how did we fare the last 3 years? No, last year we had 17 endowed funds, name endowed funds, and these are from District 3770, 3780, tatlo, 3790, tatlo, 3800, we had 2. From 3810, we had 3. 3820, 1. 3850. Through the effort of Governor Lyndon, actually, they were the first to register the endowment fund last year. Okay, and then from 3860, we had 3. So we had a total of 17 endowment funds, that's 702,000. And these form part of the total giving of Philippine Rotary last year. Now, what about this year? Last year pala, or since 2019 and 2020, we were in the top 10 countries of the most number of endowed funds established during a particular Rotary year. Last year, we were at number 5 together with Japan with 17 endowed funds. Imagine, yung mga kasama natin dyan, United States, Taiwan, India, Korea, Japan, Canada, Italy, Bangladesh, Portugal. Di ba? Nakaka-proud, di ba? We are so proud in Philippine Rotary having this kind of achievement. Number 5 in the most number of name endowed funds last year. Now for this Rotary year, we have 17. And these are 2 from 3800, 5 from 3810, 2 from 3830, 1 from 3850, and 6 from 3860. Actually, right now, the most number and the highest amount of endowment funds are coming from 3860. And we started that even before I even became an EMGA, the year before I became EMGA. So with the help of course, our fund development specialist, Gretchen, we were able to do a lot of endowment funds during the last 3 years. Total last year was, the number is 16, and then we raised about $405,000. Parang yung iba, ito na yung buong contribution ng district, di ba? Total donation na ng district ito. Now, so you will see in this graph the endowment funds in the last 3 years. In 1919-20, we had 3, 2021, 22, 17, and 20. This year, we have 16. Of course, we still have until tomorrow. So until today, tama ba? Tomorrow. So baka meron pang pumasok. Okay? Now, sabi nila, kailangan ba cash lang? Hindi po. Sa endowment fund, pwedeng cash. We can also accept appreciated securities or assets. We accept gifts of life insurance. In fact, one of the most prominent is the one of past Governor Bimbo or Mel Salazar. Nagulat kami lahat. When he died, I think a month after, his wife, si Amy, told us that Bimbo has a gift of life insurance to the Rotary Foundation's endowment fund. It's a $10,000 life insurance given to the Rotary Foundation. And then, of course, we have gifts via one's estate. Kung yung pag-aari mong mga properties, pwede mo ring i-donate sa foundation. Of course, beneficiary designation in your retirement account. Okay, how do you include Rotary in your estate plan? A gift from your estate to the endowment will provide ongoing financial support just as the annual contributions do today. Okay? Now, as endowment and major gifts, we are also tasked to identify potential AKS members, major gifts, and AKS members. Alam nyo, in 2018 or 4 years ago, we only had about 8 AKS members. Today, alam nyo ba kung ilan na? 20. Actually, end of last year is 26, but today we already have 27. And I'm telling you that you're lucky because next year you will have probably one of the biggest haul of AKS members because ngayon pa lang naghahanda na yung mga donors. So we have at least 5 AKS members, new AKS members for next year. And that will make your work a little bit lighter because some of the districts like 3820, 3810, 3800, sino pa, Gov June? 3820, 3830, yan. Meron ng mga potential AKS for next year. Okay, my last slide is a bit of a good news because we now have completed the registration of the Philippine Rotary Foundation Incorporated. Nilalakad na lang ngayon yung BIR certification and of course, some other papers. All papers have been completed with the SEC and the bank requirements, and we are hopeful that we can receive donations already in the coming months. No? And then we have to, of course, accredit our foundation with the proper government agencies. Once we have, ito yung dream, even ng mga late Rotary leaders natin, even yung mga nagdaang mga Rotary leaders namin, they're dreaming, their dreams and our dreams are to have, or is to have, the Philippine Rotary Foundation Incorporated. We will probably be the 7th or the 8th Rotary country who will have its own Rotary Foundation. And what will happen once this is all in place? You know, all donations from the Philippines will be deposited now in a Philippine bank. So dito na, hindi na natin dadalhin sa Evanston, di ba? So, and then funds for grants and other funding requirements from the Rotary Foundation will be provided by the PRFI. But kung kulang yon, of course, magkukulang yon, then we have to get from the Rotary Foundation. Once approved and accredited by the appropriate government agencies, Filipino donors can now avail of tax credits for their donations, especially the big donors, di ba? Imagine if you become an AKS, you donate about 13 million pesos, so you can get tax credit for that. Even for small donations like $10,000 or even $1,000, we can get tax credit, okay? And then, of course, donations other than cash, appreciated securities, assets, gifts, life insurance, gifts by one estate through a will will be processed locally now. Alam nyo, ito, ngayon ang condition natin, if we do this and ask headquarters to evaluate this, it can take a long time, and they cannot probably appreciate the value of the properties or the estate that we have here. But now we would probably have our own assessors here, and then it will be easier for local donors to have this process locally. And of course, there will be more options for big donations, including donor advice fund, kung saan mo gustong ipondo yung yung donation mo. You know, I think that's the end of my presentation. And again, in behalf of the Rotary Foundation, I'd like to thank you all from the bottom of my heart for your continuing work for our Rotary Foundation, for your generosity and your kindness. And I pray that the good Lord will repay you and continue to shower you with more blessings that you can share to those in need and to the Rotary Foundation. Sana you never get tired of helping, of sharing the good work and spreading the good news of Rotary. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat at mabuhay ang Rotary Foundation. Thank you. Stop share.
Thank you for the very powerful and informative presentation. And I'm sure with the organization of Philippine Rotary Foundation, Inc., the Philippines will be a major contributor to help build up the endowment fund of 2.025 billion by 2025. So for our next speaker, she's currently the fund development specialist supporting all 10 Rotary districts in the Philippines. She is the first and only Philippine-based consultant of the foundation. And as the fund development specialist, she is entrusted by the Rotary Foundation in developing and maintaining a portfolio of key major and planned giving prospects. She is principally concerned with major gifts ranging from $10,000 to $1 million. And she's here to support Rotarians on their way to becoming major donors, and to look for ways to communicate the good that the foundation does, not only in the Philippines, but globally. Concurrent to her work with the Rotary Foundation, she's also consulting for the Asian Development Bank under the Sustainable Development and Climate Change Department. She is also contracted by Filipinas Shell as a strategist in its corporate relations department. Her decision to steer her expertise towards humanitarian and developmental communications came after an assignment with international NGO, SOS Children's Villages. For that particular assignment, she was sent to Tacloban exactly 2 weeks after Typhoon Hainan devastated the province. It was, so to speak, a game changer that realigned her priorities towards a more impactful and relevant line of work. Fellow Rotarians, let us welcome Fund Development Specialist Gretchen Laurel.
Hi everyone, good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon. Let me just share my screen. Here. Hello from Cebu, by the way. I am on my way back to Manila and I just attended, kasama ko si Gov Kaikai the other evening. We attended the induction of Rotary Club of Cebu. Wait lang. All right. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
All right. Before I start off my presentation, since I am in Cebu, let me share a short story. Alam to ni Gov Jess. One of our Arch Club Society members in Cebu, I will never forget what he told us. Sabi niya, I did not give that much to the foundation before because I always felt like a checkbook. That statement has remained with me. Like while we are talking about solicitation, identification, getting major gifts, fundraising, we should always remember that beyond this mechanical process is an actual person, is an actual donor who has his or her own philanthropic goals and ideals. So beyond the numbers, there is a person, and that is the intricacy of a major gift. Hindi siya ere, we are not asking for $25. We are not asking for $100. We are asking for, at the minimum, 500,000 pesos, which is a substantial amount. And for that substantial amount, it's not a one ask, it's not an easy ask, and there is a process. But beyond that process, there is a person. And I would always like to contextualize my presentation with that. And I think paying tribute to our outgoing EMGA Jess Nicdao, I think that is the ingredient which has really made him successful. He listened to the donor's priorities. Walang pilitan, walang anything, but he mentioned this a while ago. You should always go back to your donor's priorities and listen to that. So even if as endowment and major gifts people, we are somehow biased towards the endowment, listen to your donors. If they want to give Polio Plus, go ahead. Endowment fund, go ahead. Directed gift, go ahead. It's always important to see the person beyond the transaction. So, yeah. Having said that, it is always very important to treat the gift as para siyang the four-step process. Ang tawag ko dyan, para kang nanliligaw. So there are 4 steps. There's identification, cultivation, solicitation, and stewardship. The first one, identify your prospects. Siyempre, you cannot cast the net ng buo. You cannot, especially for a major gift. You always have to identify first. And that first step, kikilalanin mo muna. The second step, discover, nurture, and strengthen their Rotary interests. Inform them of reasons and potential opportunities to make a gift. Ito na yung liligawan mo si donor. Solicitation. This is, in essence, asking prospects for major gifts at the right time by the right person. Ito na yung yayayain mo na siya. Magde-date na kayo. And then, lastly, finally, stewardship. This is actually thanking donors in essence. It is recognizing donors who have made major gifts, and it involves continually thanking and involving them. Hindi naman kasi pwedeng the moment that you close the gift, hindi mo na siya papansinin, kalimutan na. it is pasasalamat, it is, as I call it, pakakasalan mo na siya. Because it is a continuous process of solicitation. I will just go through everything in more detail. Step number 1, identification, yung pagkakilala. This is actually my favorite step, because this is when you really identify your process. You identify your prospects, because how can you ask when you don't know who to ask? And this one, identification, is essentially divided into two. One is on a quantitative basis, and the other is on a qualitative basis. What does that mean? Quantitative is usually your data tells a story. So nandyan yung rotary reports natin. And then qualitative refers to the personal connections and networks inside of Rotary. Quantitative. For the quantitative aspect of identification, we have the Rotary reports as our main resource. From the Rotary reports, you can identify giving capacities. Easiest question: who are your top 10, top 20 givers in your districts? Our Rotary reports has that answer. Who are your top 3 givers inside of the clubs? Malalaman yan sa Rotary reports. And of course, the Major Donor Society, the Quest Society report pieces out kung sino yung currently major donors and AKSs in your district. This one, it says, what does this report tell you? It tells you the giving capacity. It's essentially they have already given, which means that they do have the financial and the giving capacity to potentially give more. Another thing, the Rotary reports can tell you the pattern. Ako personally, if those Rotarians in the Philippines who have given 5,000 and up for 3 consecutive Rotary years are on my radar. Yan yung parang all of the fund development specialists, all of the EMGAs have their portfolio. My portfolio, this is my portfolio. Why? Important sa akin to know this, because then I can pinpoint they are engaged with Rotary. And number 2, they have the giving capacity. And $5,000 is actually a good baseline of their giving capacity. So that's my personal portfolio. One other thing that the Rotary reports can tell you, a donor's preference. We have what you call the donor history report, which all Rotarians have. And the donor history report, it indicates the area of interest of the donor. Let's say I can actually pull out a report which indicates donors from the Philippines who have given to WASH, for example, or who have given to polio, or who have given to the annual fund, or to the endowment fund. Why is this important? Because the moment na lalapit ka, hindi ka naman lalapit to offer something that the donor is not interested in or will not be interested in. Let's say you have a donor na he's a major donor, he has been consistently giving, and he has just been giving to polio, let's say. Would you offer an endowment fund? Maybe. But the first primary product that you will offer is still polio. So, ganyan. One other thing, very important, the Rotary reports can also help you identify milestones. And these milestones can look anything from a Rotarian, a major donor celebrating his 75th birthday or his 50th birthday, his 60th birthday. Reports can tell you clubs in this Rotary year who are celebrating or commemorating their 50th anniversary, 20th anniversary. And I found that identifying these clubs are usually very helpful in and identifying clubs who are willing to put up a named endowed fund for their club. I think for this Rotary year, we have set up, I believe, 3 dahil kino-memorate nila yung anniversary ng club nila. So, and those are things, giving capacity, pattern, preference, and milestones. All of these can be gotten from the Rotary report. That's on the quantitative side. Now, on the qualitative side, ito yung masaya. Palagi itong masaya. This is your Rotary network, aka relationships, or grapevine, or chismis. Sabihin na natin yun. These are essentially leads that our reports don't quite capture. For this Rotary year, one of our leads is someone who is not even a major donor yet, but is willing to move up to AKS. So, and that lead came from people, from individuals. Kasi that is not, because usually, a donor like that, wala yan sa radar ng reports, right? So it's always, in identifying prospects, it's always important to have that hand in hand. You have the data, but you also have the soft side of fundraising, which is the qualitative. And qualitative, where do you get this? Number 1, get in touch with your district leaders. And by your district leaders, it's your DRFCs, very important, your DGs, your DGEs, your DGNs. Why? Because they are usually the ones who have the relationship and secure the underground agreement. Kumbaga sila yung palaging low-hanging fruit. Kasi, and all of you know this, it will usually be an individual has already promised this particular governor na, Gov, mag-AKS ako during your year. Or Gov, I will set up an endowment fund during your year. So, do talk to your district governors, do talk to your district leaders on who they have in mind as well. And then work in parallel. Second lead, get in touch with your president. Why? This is a tip that I got from my very first EMGA, the late, great Robert Cohen. Sabi niya sa akin, yung mga presidente hindi tinatanong, pero usually yung mga presidente, sila yung pinakamalapit sa donors. Sabi niya, sila yung may alam kung sino yung nanalo ng kaso, sino yung lumago ang negosyo, sino yung palugi ang negosyo. So I always remember that. Get in touch with your presidents. At the very least, ask your presidents who their potential major donors are inside of their club, because they are also your leads, and you can very well ask help from them. Next step, kung una, kikilalanin. Pangalawa, second step is the cultivation process. Ito na yung quote-unquote ligawan proper. And this is the process of building a relationship. And this is actually the most time and effort intensive, because this is really when, like I said earlier, this is really when you see the person beyond the transaction. So if you can find out his Rotary story, who brought them into the foundation, sino yung sponsoring member niya, how long has he been in the foundation, who are the most important relationships he has with in the foundation. And then the next step is that you also have to inform the prospect about foundation programs and the giving options. How do you enrich the cultivation or the ligawan process? This is when you have meaningful interactions, and this is when you do personal visits, calls, attend the same club events, district events, go to his house, go to parties together. meaningful interactions. It's also useful to introduce this particular donor to others who share similar interests or have similar backgrounds. You can also invite him or her to Rotary events such as Major Gift Initiative and committee events, to global grant projects, or to site visits. This is very important, and again, it really redounds back to the individual personality of the donor. If you know a donor who is very into global grants, then bring him to global grant projects. If you know of a donor who appreciates the investment potential or the investment opportunities that's brought about by the endowment fund, then have him talk to, let's say, a person who has established his own endowment fund, and and can really walk the talk that my endowment fund has grown from $25,000. It's now worth $31,000. That can be an effective cultivation strategy. Another strategy, you can introduce him or her to Rotary leaders. I think one of the most successful na tagahingi namin from the foundation is past President John Germ. Very hindi daw kasi mahindian, or even si Jennifer Jones. Mahirap makahindi kay Jennifer Jones. If you have prospects in mind na gusto niyong ipakausap, or you want us to link up with Rotary leaders, please inform us and we will find a way to make it happen. And that brings me to and we will find a way to make it happen. Also part of the cultivation process, build on his Rotary story by demonstrating the bigger impact of the foundation. Let's say you have a donor who is very encouraged because of his WASH Global grant by his club. What you can do next is to have him see the bigger impact of WASH projects in the Philippines, in other districts, and the bigger impact of WASH projects all over the world. So sometimes it's really, okay, that can be a light bulb moment for your donors. Number two, you can share stories or examples of how Rotary has improved lives, including yours. I have not met a Rotarian who does not have a global grant or a district grant project that's particularly close to their heart. And actually asking your prospect's Rotary story and then sharing your own Rotary story, it usually leads to, it just reinforces that Rotary giving works. And because Rotary giving works, that encourages more just forgive. And again, this will often inspire donors to become more interested and hopefully to give more to the foundation. Third part, and this is very, very important. We can cultivate to achieve ability. We can technically increase the ability, but we can offer alternatives to an immediate outright gift. And this is where the options come in. For example, for a major gift of at least $10,000, we have the 3-year installment option. And just recently, this last Rotary year, we introduced the 3-year installment option for setting up a named endowed fund. So hindi na siya isahang bigay ng $25,000. We can now put it in installments of $8,333 for 3 Rotary years. If you have an AKS potential, we can extend that installment to 5 Rotary years. And dito papasok yung technicalities. please always have paperwork. And when the paperwork is already needed, please start to email me, please bring me in. Baka kasi we have had instances in the past where donors, akala nila, basta installments, okay na yun. Once they deposit, the gift is already considered as an AKS pledge or as a major donor pledge, and they will immediately receive the recognition. No. So for a pledge, we have to have the pledge document, a signed pledge document, and the first installment payment. So if only those two conditions are satisfied, will we be able to give the recognition? So paperwork, always very important for pledges, as well as for setting up an endowment fund. Another alternative that we introduced is the undesignated pledge for major gifts. Dati, for the major gifts, you can only choose one fund. It's either you make a major gift pledge towards polio or towards the annual fund share. Hindi ka na pwedeng mag-diversify. Last Rotary year, we introduced the undesignated option. What does this mean? It means that regardless of whatever fund the donor chooses, it will all count towards his pledge already. So that's an option. And ako personally, when someone approaches for a pledge, default ko na undesignated, because you don't know whether his giving priority would change from this Rotary year to the next Rotary year. Again, we also offer named endowed funds and then pooled endowed funds, which Jess spoke about earlier. And we also offer options to create a bequest through a will and through an insurance plan, which I'm very encouraged that Gov June is looking to grow and increase during his term as EMGA. So that's for the cultivation process. So we're done with identification and cultivation. The third step is solicitation. Ito na yung pagtatanong. And solicitation is always summarized by the right person asking for the right amount at the right time for the right program. And in this, I again remember Robert Kwan. One of the most important lessons he taught me was timing. Sabi niya, hindi ka pwedeng tanong ng tanong, hindi ka pwedeng mangulit. You have to build the right circumstances, and you have to wait for the right timing. And you have to wait for the right person to ask. So, and that I think comes with practice and with wisdom that you have. So, solicitation, personal solicitations, peer-to-peer can be very effective. We've found that an AKS asking a potential AKS for an AKS gift is always effective, because then you can say, okay, this person has given, maybe I can give as well. You can have a Rotary senior leader, as mentioned earlier, or you can have anyone from the foundation that he or she respects make the ask or ask for the gift. And again, this redounds back to the relationship that you have built. And every donor is different. Some donors will appreciate it if it's the district governor who makes the ask. Some donors ayaw nila. Gusto nila staff lang. Kasi gusto nila sikreto yung gift that he gave. Some donors are bound to say yes to his Rotary mentor. Some donors are bound to say yes to the DRFC. it really depends. And again, the most effective way to identify this is to build a relationship with your prospect or with your donor. And again, you can also have me kung ano, if you feel like okay, this donor will need more explanation about the technicalities, or will need more explanation about the different funding vehicles of the club or of the foundation, then you can also bring me in. So yun. What is a perfect solicitation ask? It can be, Jess, based on our conversations, I know that you value the work of Rotary as I do, is making a directed gift of $30,000 to support the wash area of focus something you would consider? Why is this ideal? The amount is specified. Number one, very important. When you ask, have an amount in mind, and of course it varies. Usually the amount you have in mind will depend on, you're asking for 100,000 kasi alam mo yung giving niya 150,000. So you're asking 100,000 because you want him to become ATO. Or you're asking $30,000 because you want him to make a directed gift. Or you're asking $25,000 because you want him to make a named endowed fund. So it's always very important to specify the amount. Next, specify the fund. In this case, it's wash area of focus. So, and that's the beauty of Rotary. You have different funds to suit and to tailor to donor preferences. Another beauty of major gifts, the bigger the amount, the more options you have. Honestly, if I had a donor who was willing to give $250,000 na buo, I would encourage him to diversify it. Tatanungin ko, pwede ba na 80,000 tayo sa annual fund, and then set up a directed gift for, let's say, Bell, and then have your club implement it, and then the remainder of the 250,000, and then maybe another 10,000 for polio, and then the remainder perhaps you can set up a named endowed fund. That's the beauty of major gifts. The bigger the amount, the bigger flexibility that you have. And sometimes it's really important to demonstrate that this much money can cost this much projects. And since you can diversify, the impact can actually be spread out. So that's also very important. And lastly, follow up. When you ask, it doesn't stop with the asking. As I always say, the gift is not yet finalized until the check is signed or the amount is endorsed to the foundation. So follow up just to close the gift or just to close the conversation. The last step, nakalimutan ko, is recognition. Recognition, ito na yung pasasalamat. And this is where the regalia comes in. This is where the recognition process, the recognition proper comes in inside of their clubs and inside of their districts. And I think Rotary clubs in Asia, for Rotary clubs, especially in the Asian region, recognition is very, very critical. And find a way, and since we are talking about major gifts, please find a way to help make your donors feel special. Will he feel special if he gets invited to an opening, to a club induction? Will he feel special if he is given a speaking opportunity inside of the district conference? And again, this all depends on the personality, number one, of the donor, and number two, of the district. And always always go back to the donor preference. We have donors na ayaw ipangalandakan what they give. They prefer to keep it a secret. Other donors really want to be recognized as much as possible. So keep in step, always keep in step with donor preference and with donor and with what the donor wants. Yeah. So just to recap, these are the 4 steps of the rotary process. Identification, kikilalanin mo muna. Cultivation, liligawan mo. You will build a relationship. Solicitation, yayayain mo na. Or you will make the ask. You will make sure that the right person makes the ask at the right time. And finally, stewardship. Ito yung makakasalan mo na. Ito yung you will continue the relationship by always paying tribute, always thanking, and always really going back to the spirit of gratitude for the generous gift that the donor has given. So that's the 4-step process. Any questions, or I'll be happy to answer any questions or any comments during the Q&A. Thank you.
Ms. Gretchen, for the 4-step process, no? Mukhang mahirap yata manligaw. Anyway, so we'll have another presentation by incoming EMGA June Farcon. The donor is always right. Totoo kaya to, Gob?
Franco.
So let me call on.
Yung question mamaya na, Gob.
Mamaya na. May presentation pa si Gob June.
Okay, teka ha. Wala yata yung screen ko. I think I lost my screen. Anyway.
Yung webcam feed nyo po, Gobang, nawala.
Webcam? Okay, yan. How about it? Okay, thank you again, Ebet. But anyway, I like the presentation of Gretchen. It reminds me during those days na, kikilalanin, liligawan, and then the third one, ano ba yung third one? Ang pinakahuli, pakakasalan eh. Diba? Kikilalanin, liligawan.
Solicitation, tapos stewardship.
Yayayain.
Yayayain. And I'm sure many of the gentlemen here can relate. Kaya lang, mukhang pag ngayon namin ginamit si Gretchen yung mga terminologies na yan. Like, if I ask permission from Sen, meron lang akong kikilalanin. Meron lang akong liligawan. Yayayain at pakakasalan. Baka akong mabatukan. Anyway, kanina sinasabi ni the last topic, I'm sure I think I'm having problem with my internet, Jonas.
Oo nga po.
Jonas, can you share?
Yes po.
Can you be the one to share? Okay.
Yes po.
Nagpa-fluctuate eh. Nawawala yung screen ko. So stop share ko Stop
Yeah.
share ko.
Naka-stop na po.
And then I'll just
Naka-share na po ako. And pati yung webcam feed niyo po nawawala. Go.
ikaw na. Oh,
Opo.
nawawala. It
Pati
has
yung
something to do
webcam.
with the internet, ano?
Possible po.
But can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just be incognito. And yung mukha ni Jonas, ang tignan nyo.
Hindi, Gov,
Anyway,
ngayon, lumabas na ulit ngayon, Gov.
lumabas na ulit.
Opo.
Okay, teka. Pasensya na, ngayon lang ulit tayo nagkakaroon ng ganito opportunity na sanay na sa in-person But, okay. So, yan. Okay. So, again, taking it from the statement of Gov Evet, is it true that the donor is always right? Listening to Gretchen, she said, we must always listen to our donors. And I would say because the donor is always right. So we give utmost respect to the preference of our donors. If they want to be recognized, bonggang-bongga, so be it. Or if they want to remain, especially their donation, to remain as anonymous, then we have to respect that wish because the donor is always right. So the next slide will show you where do we get our donors? Saan ba magagaling yung donors natin? By the way, ito yung learning objectives pala natin. Learning objectives. Next slide, Jonas. So this is the donor engagement worldwide. Sige, labas mo na lahat, Jonas.
Okay.
On the left side, you can see that if it's not that big, it will tell you that 75% of the donation comes from individual donors, and 19% from Rotary organization, and 5% from business, charity, and government. So that is reflected on the left side. Now, when you talk about individuals, which constitutes 75% of donations, by the way, this is the graph from the 2020-21 total outright contributions by source. Sa individuals naman, out of the 75% from individuals, do you know that 87% came from active Rotarians, just like you and me, 87%. 8% from former Rotarians, 4% from non-Rotarians, and as we can see now, 0.03%, that's very small, from Rotaractors, because they're just starting last year. Now, kanina sabi natin, 75% came from individuals and 19% came from Rotary organizations. So what will be the breakdown of the organization? So out of this 19%, 72% came from Rotary clubs, 11% came from business and government, 8.7% from club and district foundation, the local club and district foundation, and another 7% from districts or districts organization, these Rotary districts. Okay. Now, the lower portion will give you the trend for the last 5 years, from 2016-17 up to 2021. So as you can see, the gray graph or the gray bar represents individuals. The yellow is Rotary organization, and the blue represents business and government. And it has been consistent. Next slide, Jonas. Let's talk about major gifts. And what do we mean by major gifts? So minention na to it's not that simple to ask a one-time donation amounting to $10,000 or more. So that is what is considered as major gift. And then of course, bequest, this is already mentioned, to provide funds from the estate commonly through a will insurance. Binanggit na rin yan. So next slide. So why major gifts? Why major gifts? Okay. Well, of course, the tremendous impact, big returns for our organization, and also to the donor. And it is the most cost-effective method of fundraising. What do I mean by this? We only use limited resources, and we use this efficiently, and we derive big results out of it. Okay, so do you know that all over the world, when I say all over the world, that's worldwide, out of 1.2 million Rotarians, there are on the average 500,000 Rotarian donors. Okay, 500,000 Rotarian donors worldwide, all over the world. And out of these 500,000 donors, there are only 1,500 major gifts donors. Can you see the relationship? 500,000 worldwide, there's only 1,500 major gifts contributors. Now, in the Philippines, if you ask me, on the average, this is on the average, there are about 12,000 to 13,000 donors every year. And out of that, there are only 50 to 60 major gifts contributors. So that's as against 12,000 donors per year. So this is really giving us, and do you know the percentage? Later, I will show you a graph on how much is the average that we get from the major gifts contributors. On the average, it's about 33%, or sometimes as high as 35% of the total giving. We get them from this exclusive list of individuals, the major gifts contributors. And of course, because of the amount of their donation, the momentum is big. I mean, it creates momentum and confidence and inspire others. Now, if you ask me, what's the biggest amount that was given by a single Rotarian? Okay, what's the biggest amount given by a single Rotarian? One-time gift, $14.7 million by a single Rotarian, in the person of past President Ravi Shankar Dakoju from Rotary Club of Bangalore, India. Okay, next slide. So why focus on Rotarians? Okay, why focus on Rotarians? So, well, as I've said, 75% came from individuals, and we have 1.2 million Rotarians to start with. And I'm sure you will agree with me, Rotarians are generous people, and we know where to find them. Sabi nga ni Jess, marami nakikinig sa akin ngayon. And, you know, as Rotarians, we know also a lot of individuals and a lot of corporations who are capable of giving. So it's not just us. We also know non-Rotarians who are also generous and who believes in our cause. Next slide. Okay, binanggit na to ni Jess, but let me just emphasize. There are two ways. The left side gives us what we can give as outright gifts today. So merong array, merong Paul Harris Society, merong major donors, major gifts, and then directed gifts. So these are outright. And then we can also have another classification. Ang tawag dyan, forever. So sa Rotary Foundation, merong forever. So what do you mean by this? So because the effects of this is in perpetuity, so it is classified as forever. Even we are no longer here, it can still continue to do good in this world. So ano-ano yan? Benefactor, bequest society, at saka yung mga name endowment funds na pinag-usapan o sinabi ni Jess. Next slide. Okay, kanina na ano lang doon, on name endowment funds, ang advantage niyan, if you choose share, it goes to our DDF. And these are the recognition levels. Bequest Society, ano, parehong-pareho ng major gifts, ano, and up to AKS. But I think the AKS and the ang tawag na Legacy Society, ano, they can go as high as more than $10 million sa present recognition levels. So sa Bequest Society, ang level 1 is 10,000. Sa major donor is $10,000 also, or major gifts. Next slide. Okay, ito yung sinasabi ko kanina in the Philippines, okay? 3-year performance on major gifts. By the way, I'll give everybody a copy of these statistics. So starting from champion year, transforming year, and the life-changing year, this is as of June 29. So on the average, it's about 33% per year ang nanggagaling sa major gifts. And it ranges from 50 to about 60. I think we will have 63 this year because we're still waiting for one more major gifts na hindi pa naka-capture sa website. So napakalaking bagay, and this is 33% of total giving. 33% of the total giving will come from these individuals. 50 to 60 of them. Next slide. Okay, this is the champion year. The end of the champion year is June 30, 2020. The reason why I'm showing this to you, this is the performance on different levels, I mean different categories. Pakipindot, Jonas. This is the number of major gifts, okay? We have 57. I don't know if it's coincidence, but I think this will be supported by 3 years statistics that the district which has the highest number of major gifts was also the district which was declared as TRF champion. If you can see it from your screen, the highest was District 3815, Pakipindot, Jonas. And they were able to raise total giving of 1,038,911. Again, it so happened that they have the highest number of major gifts and they were declared as TRF champion. Let's see what happened to the next year, the transforming year. Okay, next slide. This is the transforming year. Again, as you can see, there were 53 major gifts contributors, and the highest at that time, as of June 30, was District 3860 with 13 major gifts, and we were able to raise total giving of 917,023. So, ganong ka-importante yung major gifts, ano? In 2 years. 2 years, nakita natin. So far, kung sino yung district na maraming major gifts, siya yung nagka-champion on total giving. And the last performance of Zone 10A is the current one as of June 29. Again, we have 62. Ang highest natin so far is 17. And look at District 3860. Again, it's no longer coincidence because it happened 3 times that the one that got the highest number of major gifts is also the one leading our zone in total giving. Papalakpakan natin lahat ng mga na-recognize na yan na maraming major gifts. Okay? Next slide. Now, we go to the other aspect, which is endowment. Minention na rin to ni Jess, and I just pick up some of the figures. But this data, or the data that I'm showing you here, does not just include and name endowment fund. It also include additional donation or additional contributions to endowment or existing endowment fund, and also contributions coming from benefactors. So sama-sama na siya dyan, okay? And again, the importance of endowment fund is this. They also account for about average of 8 to 9% per year of the total giving, So if we have, like in our zone, for the last 3 years, we have been hitting more than 5 million. So on the average, about 8 to 10% of the funds came from endowment fund. By the way, I'm happy to report that as of June 29, 2022, we're already nearing the 5 million mark. So with 2 days to go, I think we're going to be successful to make it 5 million 3 years in a row on total giving. Let's all pray for it. May isa pang araw eh. But I'm sure you will hear from me na we will be having that kind of record. Okay, next slide. And gusto ko lang emphasize, in our district, we have this endowment fund that was established in 2018, the Mat Kaparas. And then it was originally, I think the original amount is $40,000. But the value now is 123 because every year, dagdag. So, pakipindot, Jonas. And this is also the same with Benny Ricafort Endowment Fund, Benny and Nona. It started with 11,000. That's the original value. And also the Emilio Yap Endowed Fund, 40,000. But as of now, the market value of these three funds, okay, pakipindot, Jonas, lumaki. So, hindi na nagastos yung principal, lumaki pa yung principal because of the market value. And the beauty of this, as mentioned by Jess, in perpetuity, it gives you spendable earnings. Magkano yung spendable earnings? Hindi na i-total, pero lahat yan, okay, it's about 1,800 for District 3800. So far, nakita kong highest on spendable earnings na nakikredit sa DDF ay yung 3860. Next slide, Jonas. Okay, paki-highlight. Ayan, so every year they have additional DDF in the amount of $8,000 because of endowment fund share. Endowment fund share. Okay, next slide. Ito naman yung endowment fund for the current year. Okay, we have 517,558. Okay, next slide. Okay, as you can see, ito yung top 3 sa districts, So, in third place is District 3830 with 56,200. In second place is 3810 with 129,000. So, Past President Yoli, meron kayong sinusundan, We have a top act to follow, 129,000.
Yeah.
But that
Sana.
Yeah,
No.
sana. Yes. We'll work and pray for it. And the champion, I think this is the third year yata na they have been the highest in terms of endowment fund, District 3860. So DGN Kai. So medyo we have to maintain the momentum, hangga't nandiyan yung ating mga friends from RCC po.
Okay, June,
next slide.
I'll work on it, pero pressured na ako dyan.
I will help you without problem.
Yes.
Okay, I already mentioned this, yung Bequest Society. Ito sana yung gusto ko sana ipakiusap kanina pa, I've been asking all of you to support and cooperate because the Bequest Society is unique. It does not require outright gift. Hindi tayo magbibigay ngayon. But it will require you to give a commitment that will come from either your estate or insurance plan or retirement plan. The minimum is $10,000. Ako, if you ask me, because I'm a lawyer, I would like sana all of us, and I would like to request also Jess, Evet, and Edna, and the rest of those coming from the 10 districts. It's up to you. I don't want to impose any amount, but of course it depends on your preference, But the minimum kasi is $10,000. That's level 1. So let's all set and register and become a Bequest Society member next year. Okay? Yung ano dito is next slide. Okay? We'll tell you how many ba ang naging Bequest Society na all over the Philippines. So ito yung statistics ng Bequest Society. And the reason why I would like all of us to be involved or to get this commitment, para we can already start the ball rolling. Diba? And then from us, kasi we need to really show that this will be possible, ano? We can probably ask others to join us, to follow us. Okay. So as you can see, the highest is 3810. I don't have the breakdown of how much and who are these 28 Bequest Society members. But I know yung sa 3780, one of them was the late past district governor Bimbo Salazar, and upon his death, Rotary Foundation got $10,000 out of the proceeds of the life insurance of PDG Mel Salazar. And in 3800, yes, we have one, and that is our good friend DRFC Mac Hermoso. And the reason why I know this, because he shared it to me, and he was able to successfully assign a life insurance policy for Bequest to become a member of Bequest Society. So yung kanya life insurance policy naman. So ang suggestion ko naman is coming from the estate by means of a will. Okay, will. We will come up with a wording and we will ask approval from RI if that is acceptable, and for that to be considered already as compliance for purposes of Bequest Society. Okay, next. I hope you will join me. You will join me, Jess, and the rest to be able to come up with this Bequest Society. Okay, this is us. The District Endowment Major Gives Chair. So ano dapat natin gawin? Number one, you coordinate with your DRFC and your district governor as to how much will be your goal for next year. Don't worry. Even with us talking here, they already made the goal for us. So nagawa na yung goal. I will share it later. Okay? And then together with you, kasama nyo ako, EMGA. Actually, yung EMGA, sometimes it's interchangeable. Some, yung A, advisor, but in some literature, nakalagay advisor. But I think it's the same. They can be used interchangeably. So depende kung English or, kung US or English countries. And then next is Jonas Pakipindot. Gretchen will be supporting us, and others, and others. Like we can also ask assistance from RISPO. Marami dong also will be in a position to help us. And then last, okay, yung My Rotary. We were not able to come up with courses or topics on how to access reports at My Rotary, but I'm sure you would like also to learn how to do that. So we will schedule another training or another meeting for that, only for that purpose, how to access reports. Okay, and then next, I think this is the last slide. Okay, no, this is ito yung ating goals. Pakipindot mga Jonas para ma-highlight ang endowment. We're talking of endowment fund. We're talking of endowment fund. So balik mo. It's not that big. It's just the average because in the past we have hit as high as 700,000. This year we're hitting 555,000. So yung 330,000 is a very reasonable, achievable, realistic, and we can make this happen. Of course, goals are meant to be achieved and surpassed. So I'm more interested on surpass. Kasi hopefully we can work immediately on this. Nakita ko nga yung 3810, 50,000 lang pala yung kanilang goal, pero they're already going to hit the ground running by July 1. And of course, in aming district, we also had 50,000. Okay. I think that's the last slide, Jonas. Okay. And back to you, Evet.
Thank you, Gov Jun. So, we now come to the open forum. Q&A. Mukhang malinaw po lahat. Sino kaya may question?
Siguro, raise hand or personal question or chat box.
Okay. From District 3810. Yolanda De Castro.
Afternoon po ulit, Gob. Good afternoon. Sa iyo po ito, Gob June. There are 25 presidents from Inspiring Team who would like to pull at 25,000 funds for endowment. Ang question po nila, how will they allocate the supposed 90% of the DDF then that babalik every year? Kung these people are coming from different clubs, pwede po ba yun? Can it be written in the agreement? Kasi maganda po itong prospect na to. Hindi pwede. Paano po kaya? Kasi sayang.
Isa-isahin natin, Yoli. You're asking if, let's say, a group of individuals from a league,
from inspiring presidents.
Inspiring presidents during the time of Rudy Bejones. And then you want to create an endowment fund share. Okay? Yeah, endowment fund share. Tama? Para yung earnings niya will go to the DDF of the district.
Of the district. Pero designated project po sana ang gagawin ng i-assign ng mga IPs. Hindi pwede po ba? Paano po kayo?
Okay. Ang real question is, what kind of arrangement can you have with your district with respect to endowment fund share organized or created by a group of individuals like a league, di ba? Yun yung kasi yung it's not difficult if it's a club, if it's a person, if it's a club, because there can be a memorandum of understanding or a district resolution that can govern the relationship. Meaning, we can state, let's say, in an agreement, na 90% will go to the club or 90% will go to the individual or the club of the individual creating the endowment fund share. But in your case, ito ngayon yung difficulty, di ba? So how do we, kasi magkakaibang clubs. And si past District Governor Rudy is no longer a governor na sabihin natin magkakaroon siya ng say as to how the DDF can be allocated, utilized. So, I guess I will go with Gretchen. Kasi sabi niya, no? O Gretchen.
Just to clarify, si TRF, yung agreement for the named endowed fund is only on a TRF and a TRF level. So yung first document that you will sign, it will all go to the club. Now, on a district level, ibang documentation na yon. So as as incoming EMGA June said, pwede kayong mag-memorandum of understanding, which is what we did with Rotary Club of Bagong Bayan, Manila Bagong Bayan. Yes. So nagkaroon ng separate memorandum of understanding with the Council of Governors ng 3810. So I think it will be your Council of Governors who will be the best people to answer your question. Kasi pag district level out na si foundation Kasi yung agreement lang namin sa inyo will be to establish the endowment fund. But in terms of how the DDF will be spent and allocated to the different clubs, that is a conversation that you will need to have on a district level.
I think si Jess will share regarding their experience.
Can I share what we did in our district? Because we did that. Any policies in the district level can be approved at the district conference or at the district assembly. So what we did was to propose a resolution to the effect that the earnings of the named endowed funds of a club, 90% will be allocated for use by the club who donated, who made the endowment fund, who owns the name endowed fund. So pag may resolution na sa district, whoever is the governor would have to abide by it unless revoke in the future. Ganun. Okay, so that's what we did in District 3790.
So go, pwede po ito. Pwede po kami mag-pull ng fund as long as there is a resolution in the district. Kasi pag pwede po ito, I can have two more endowment.
Yeah, of course.
This question has been going while we are on a meeting. So, yun po.
Actually, Yoli, during my initial presentations, I've always encouraged that for the districts to have their own resolutions about the spending of the DDF. Wag namang 100% pupunta dun sa club or dun sa bigay. Magtira naman kayo ng 10% sa
district.
Kasi yung iba gusto nila lahat mapunta sa club. Hindi naman kasi the district manages the fund. So magtira ka naman ng 10% at least.
Ganun po yung sa Manila Metro, 90% din.
Yeah. Pero I think my suggestion para maging district-wide ito, so hindi na every time na merong mag-endowed fund, gagawa kayo ng MOU with the district or with the Council of Governors. Dapat na to, encompassing everything and all the years, even the going forward.
Parang na siya, may general agreement.
Yeah.
Tsaka dadami po ang endowment fund kasi yung lahat ng bots ngayon nag-uusap-usap na sila eh. So sabi ko, kung pwede to, tapos na ang trabaho ko ng mas bilis.
Problema kasi dyan, pag walang ganon at hindi mo kasundo yung governor, baka hindi niya ibigay sa iyo.
Pero pag meron na po nang galing sa Council of Governors, pwede na po yun.
Hindi actually Council of Governors. Yung mismong district. That is a proposal of the district coming from anybody from the district, even coming from a Rotarian. Okay. It's a resolution that will be presented in the district conference or district assembly.
Okay.
Okay?
Sige po. Thank you, Gob. Thank you, Gretchen. Thank you.
Welcome. Yung logistical note ko lang, please don't deposit yet unless there is paperwork already. kasi lagot kami sa finance team. So yun. Thank you.
Good example yung club ni Gobbit Gutierrez. They have their own endowment fund. Name endowed fund. Name after
Metro Olonga po.
Metro Olonga po, meron sila.
Okay.
Is raising his hand.
Unahin ko si
question ako.
Arnel. And then
Arnel.
And Goblindon.
Thank you, Gov. Everett. Question lang po, no? Yung sa minimum contribution for endowment fund, kasi I could see, as far as I know, parang $25,000 US, right?
Yes.
Tama. Pero I can see na doon sa mga goals ng ibang districts, parang $10,000 US siya. So it could be less than 25,000.
No, can I answer that?
Say, yes, Jess, go.
Contributions to the endowment fund can be as little as $100. Yung sinasabi nating $25,000 is named endowed fund. Meaning, may pangalan mo, or ng club mo, or ng district. Exclusive yun.
Okay. So, kasi like merong mga batch na halimbawa Champions of Service.
Yeah.
So, if they will contribute less than 25,000, hindi siya magiging named endowment fund.
Hindi.
Okay. Sige. Tapos Gov, nabanggit kanina ni Ma'am Gretchen na for example dun sa mga anniversary, no. So, about 25 years na isang club, tapos they plan to have a name endowment fund na worth $25,000 US. Then each members can pool, for example, kung 25 sila na magpo-pool, 1,000 each. So yung 1,000 contribution nila, maki-credit din yun sa kanilang annual giving, right?
And total giving. Total giving.
Yeah.
Not annual fund. Total giving.
Pero individually, dun sa 25 persons na magpo-pool, maki-credit yun din sa kanila individually.
Oh, individually, yes. So, halimbawa, hindi pa sila major donor, it will add up to their major donor amount of contribution, cumulative.
Okay.
Just one additional thing to add for that. This Rotary year, nag-introduce ng bagong ruling si RI na only the pooled endowed funds, yun na lang yung pwedeng dagdagan. Yun na lang yung pwedeng mag-top up. So halimbawa, if it's a named endowed fund set up by an individual or by a couple, hindi na natin siya pwedeng i-top up.
So bakit?
Yes.
Bakit?
I know, it's also a frustration. I don't have a ready answer for you. Pero yun, that's one. So halimbawa, yung endowment fund that was set up by GovJess, since it was just set up by one person, hindi na pwedeng mag-top up si GovJess. So, but yeah, I know. So, yes, this is GovJess, this is one of the innovations I wish you can raise as part of the Fund Development Committee.
Gusto niya doblehin yun eh.
Is that with the Fund Development Committee?
Yes, please revoke that ruling. Kasi parang I was talking to Rotary to Stephen. He set up his own. Sabi niya, but I want to top up $5,000 every year to my own endowment fund. So you're telling me that I can't do that? Sabi ko, yes, unfortunately, you can't. So yun. For those who are setting up an endowment fund, if you plan to top it off, please have at least three different Rotarians para madadagdagan natin. Otherwise, we won't be able to add to your endowment fund.
Hindi ko kasi nakikita yung wisdom nun eh, pero I will ask.
Ako rin.
Committee.
Ako rin.
So, Gretchen, sa aming district, si Gov. Benny Ricafort started their endowment fund when it was not yet required as a minimum in 25. That's why they have 11. Now, he's telling me he wants to elevate to 25. So, hindi na rin pwede?
Hindi na rin pwede.
Wow. Ha?
I know.
11,
I know.
Pati yun, that was established in 1994, I think. 1994.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's one of the it does not, but yun. But as of now, blanket ruling tayo that if it's an endowment fund set up by an individual, we cannot top it up.
I will just ask him to do another one for the club together with two more persons.
Yes.
Tama?
Para madagdagan.
So pwede bang past district governor Benigno Ricafort and Rotary Club of Pasig South?
Pwede.
Okay, yan. Yan ang nasabihin ko sa kanya. So hindi na pwede doon sa personal niya. Kasi hindi na pwedeng i-top. Anong term mo? Top up?
Top up. Hindi na pwedeng mag-top up ng bala.
Hindi pala nakahabol pa ako, ha?
Ano go?
Ay, sa'yo yata. Ebet, ano ba yung kay Ebet?
Champion year.
Hindi. Pero active din yata yun, di ba?
Pwede
active siya. Pero may kasama ka dun eh.
May kasama. So pwede yun.
Kasama ka dun. Oo. I forgot one of your presidents.
Hindi. Tapos si Doc Noel.
Yes. So
pwede yun.
Okay. Yes.
Basta pooled daw. Pooled pwede. Ang hindi pwede, individual at saka, club?
Yung spouse.
Couple.
Ay, spouse. Couple and individual. Okay. Yung nag-raise ng hand yata sino ba ito nag-raise?
Okay.
Lindon and then Kakay.
Okay. So So, can I ask 3 questions sa para pakyawan na?
Okay.
Okay, may katapat na EF yan, Gob.
My first question is for Gretchen. Yung, alam mo yung sinabi mo undesignated. You mentioned na ang purpose doon is you can change your focus, no? But
yung mix.
But every time you change that, would that mean that you have multiple focus, or when you change it, you have to change it to the latest focus that you decided you wanna do? Ano yun?
Okay. Di ba yung sa pledge form natin?
Ha.
Yung pledge form kasi natin, meron dong parang tick boxes. So, dun sa tick boxes, those tick boxes represent the different funds of the Rotary Foundation. Meron na tayong tick box for undesignated. Now, if you choose undesignated, just email me. For this Rotary year, I want everything to go to annual fund share. For the next Rotary year, email me again. I want this year's installment to go to polio and to go to a global grant.
So
And then,
it's
yeah, so you can change. Kasi
so undesignated is the best way to do pala kasi very
Yes.
flexible pala siya, no?
Yes.
So it
If
doesn't
you do
matter
not,
if you change every year. You can change every year. Okay,
Yes.
that answers
So,
my first question.
Yes. But if you don't contact me on your next Rotary year and then you checked undesignated, automatically, yung fund which you chose during the first installment, doon namin ilalagay yung second installment mo.
Okay.
So, yun. So, if you plan to change...
My default siya. But,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
So my second question is an easy one. I noticed di ba, you mentioned pag major gift, it has to be 10,000 minimum considered. So if you go from different level of being an MD, a major donor, but if you didn't give 10,000, that still will not consider a major gift, correct ba yung assumption ko? So, walang credit ang district kung nag-upgrade ka ng higher level, kung hindi 10,000 yung binigay mo to go to the next level, correct ba? Tama. So it's not a question. Just answering, ito yung pinaka-last na medyo hindi ko rin alam. I don't know if I asked you before. Yung mga permanent fund before, di ba, is still considered, it still goes to parang endowment din ang labas ng permanent fund, di ba? Correct ba yun?
It used to be called permanent fund.
Permanent
Ngayon,
fund.
endowment na.
So what happened to those $1,000 permanent fund? Can they be pulled and put to the name endowment fund if it's a pooled endowment fund? But kung may nagbigay ng permanent fund noon in the past so many years, and then nagkaroon kami ng name endowment fund. So hanging yung mga permanent fund na binigay noon, pwede ba yung hatakin yun ilagay sa name? Hindi. So are we gonna, the permanent fund, do they get yung dividend papasok sa DDF share? Wala. Parang hindi ko maalala, nagbigay kasi ako sa permanent fund noon pero wala akong maalala na may sinasabi na yung return pupunta sa DDF ng district namin. Kasi $1,000.
World fund yun. World fund.
Sa World Fund. So general lang yun. Walang designation.
Wala sa district.
A floating amount that goes to the RF board. Sila ng trustee na ang bahala
doon.
Sila
ang may authority na. On the earnings, they can...
wala ka na pakialam.
Use that for global grant. Yung pang-match sa natin. Global grant.
Okay. So, may isang question for net. Sinabi ko 3 lang. Okay. I'm done.
Okay. Thank you.
And then in principle, we cannot backdate. That's one of the more important things. Halimbawa, especially if it's a contribution that was made a previous Rotary year. We cannot backdate. We cannot backdate kasi masisilip tayo ng audit. So we cannot backdate, we cannot change the designation, we cannot pull from a previous contribution made during a different Rotary year.
I think that's understandable, for audit purposes. Ma-audit tayo.
Lagot kami.
Pero, halimbawa, kung it happen, let's say 1 week apart lang, you designate it first as annual fund and then you change your mind, gusto mo nang maging benefactor with the same amount, 1,000. Pwede pa naman siguro yun. Kung 1
Same
week
Rotary
lang.
month. Same Rotary month.
Same Rotary month.
Pwede.
Yes.
Same Rotary month.
Yes.
Okay. So at least 30 days.
So, hindi
Same Rotary.
hindi ka magbigay June sa end of the month ko kasi pag one day lang, pag next month na, wala na. Hindi ka na pwede mag Don't give at the end of the month. Okay.
Next, si Kai yata. Si Gov Kai.
Si ano yata? Oh,
Yes,
si Bit din yata. Si Bit. Si Gov Bit. Gov Bit and then Kai.
Okay. As mentioned by Gov Jess, yung club ko nga has a designated
Endowed fund.
Anyway, I'd like to know, we gave that last year. So this year, makukuha na namin yung share. So how would we know the amount that will be getting back? Kasi yun ang tanong ng presidente ko because he wants to use that for project this year sana.
Gretch?
Saan mahanap yun?
Okay, that is actually in the DDF, available DDF report from your club. And then kung sino man po
From
yung
my club or the district?
of the
District.
Yeah,
available
okay.
DDF. That's usually in that report. And then sino po yung signatory nung endowment fund?
Our previous president, our
Then,
IPP.
Your IPP was supposed to have gotten an email.
Really?
And then that email actually outlines yung fund performance. Tapos nandun dapat yung face value and then the original value and then yung face value, essentially how the fund performed. So kung sino man yung signatory, he was supposed to have gotten that email.
Okay, I'll check with him.
Yeah.
Next question.
Yeah.
If we want to add more, ano yan? If we want to add more to that fund, do we need to give 1,000 each per donation or pwede ng 100? So any amount would do. Okay, just a clarification. Thank you.
If you're having a hard time checking kung magkano, you can email Gretchen or EMGA.
Yeah. But I'll check first with my IPP.
Yeah.
Baka naman na-receive niya. If not, then I'll check with Gretchen.
Sa district endowment fund, Gretchen, sino pinapadalhan? Pag district old endowment fund, sino pinapadalhan ng report?
Sino yung signatory? Kaya very important.
Parang governor yata namin ang signatories.
Yun. Kung sino man yung signatory, remember yung original document that we signed. Yun.
Okay.
Kung sino man yung signatory, then siya yung padadalhan ng report about the fund earnings, fund performance.
Kasi sa DDF report, cumulative na ang binibigay yata sa report, yung total dividend lang ang nilalagay nila doon. I think I remember saying that. Yung kung magkano yung natanggap na galing sa endowment. Hindi total ang nilalagay na. Bini-breakdown ba?
Bini-breakdown siya.
Na yata ako natatanggap, Gretchen.
Sige.
Negative yata last 3 years.
Sige. Si-email ko yung namin. Wala ka natanggap, Go?
Parang wala.
Sige. Follow up ko. Dapat meron eh. Every year may fund performance ka dapat eh. So yun.
I think Gov Kai is asking a question.
Hi, good afternoon. My question is about the top-up. No? You mentioned earlier if the endowment fund is a named fund with less than 3 persons in the fund name, so top-up cannot be done. But if the amount to be added is a full 25,000, is it possible or still no?
Gawa na lang kayong bago.
Bago na lang. So, kailangan bago. Hindi na talaga pwede to that same fund. Okay, so second question is, if it's a pool of funds from different Rotarians in the same club, but they're going to name it in the club's name, can they avail of the 3-year scheme or something? Hindi rin. So
No.
it has to be talaga one time for the 25,000.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
Kasi kung mag-i-installment tayo, we don't really know how to follow up. Since we are essentially talking to 25 donors for an installment. So the installment scheme is really only available for an individual Rotarian who wishes to set up a named endowment fund.
Thank you, Gretchen.
Okay, so any other questions? Baka isa na lang, Gretchen, saan kukuha ng pera?
That's a good one.
Nakikita ko dito sa mga kasama natin, maraming mag-endowed fund dito. Because they will create their own legacies.
Yun ang one of the features of a name endowment fund. You will be remembered in perpetuity.
Yeah.
Even yung mga future Rotarians, tatanong nila, sino ba tong God Ebet?
Walang nakapangalan sa akin.
Wala ba?
Wala.
Pulled ba yun? Hindi yung ano mo pala.
Hindi, ginawa ko yun for the champion year. Pero hindi. Pero wala tayong nakikita sa portal kung ano yung mga named endowment fund. So actually there's no way for Rotarians to know kung ano yung mga named endowment fund.
Okay.
Sa annual report ng endowment.
Siguro, di ba? So let's say kumbaga ang choices lang kasi would be annual fund, polio plus fund. Pag endowment fund, then you have to put in the endowment fund number, di ba?
Para ma-track.
Yes. Hindi ma-track. Para ibig sabihin, if you want to contribute to that specific fund, then you have to know the fund.
Yes.
Number.
The number or kahit yung name ng fund.
Yeah,
okay lang naman.
Sa case ko, if I made the named endowment fund champion Rotary Year 2019-20 fund, then I have to promote that to my champion presidents, di ba? Para pag-contribute diretso doon.
Yeah.
I think that's what happened to the Mat Caparas endowment fund, di ba?
Yes.
Kaya lumaki siya. Ang principal niya, palaki ng palaki.
Even the RC Cebu, Gretz, right?
RC Cebu.
RC Cebu.
So lahat ng endowment fund nila, natatrack.
Yes.
Gretz, RC Cebu, it's more than 150,000, no? 150.
I have a question related to that, no? Kung ang dividend mo hindi mo ilagay sa DDF, it will stay in the fund, lalaki yung mas mabilis ang paglaki ng fund mo o kailangan ipapadala talaga nila yung dividend mo. Automatic. So you don't have to request it, talagang ipapadala sa iyo.
Yeah.
Sa district go.
Sa district. Sa district.
Pag yung district hindi niya ginamit ng 3 taon, mababawi yun.
Mawawala, makanis. Thank you pala sa Jollibee. Tumawag yung misis ko. Nag-order ba daw ako ng Jollibee? Sabi ko, hindi man ako nag-order. Naalala ko, meron palang ayuda tayo.
Ayuda.
Ayuda ko pala. Thank you, Jess.
Thank you.
Gob Junian.
Yung mga iba pala, baka
meron. Thank you, Gob Jun. Kasi sabi ni Gob Jun, kay Gob Jess daw yun.
Yung ibang Jollibee, Jess, wala palang GCash. So baka meron lang ilan sa inyo na tinanong dahil sa wala silang GCash na you have to pay cash. Sabihin nyo lang sa akin, I will GCash to you yung kung nagbayad kayo. Ha? Kasi nakatanggap ako yung sa akin daw. Walang GCash.
Bayad lang din, bayad na.
Sabi niya, hindi raw sila nabayaran kasi wala raw silang GCash. Kaya sabi ko, sige, i-inform ko si Jess na huwag isama yung ano.
Bala doon.
Okay, so si
Permission.
Marilu.
Gob, permission to leave. I have another meeting.
Ako rin.
Okay.
Pwede.
Adjourn na natin.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to all of you.
Thank you.
Adjourn na natin. Ano na tayo? Mag-group picture na lang tayo.
Sige.
Okay.
Sino mapipicture?
Adjournment naman susunod na, di ba?
Summation and adjournment po. Opo.
Okay.
Summation and adjournment. Okay. So, okay, let me just thank everybody, most especially our faculty members and participants and technical support in the person of PP Jonas. It has been a very productive, rewarding, and lots of gain information on endowment and major gifts. So with that, let me formally end our first endowment and major gifts team training in the world. Ayan na, in the world. Tayo raw muna. Adjourn. Thank you.
Group picture, tapos na?
Picture. Okay. So, Jonas, kunan mo kang picture.
Look at your webcam and smile. Sige po. 1, 2, 3. Sige, one more. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye. Ingat.
Thank you lahat.
Thank you, Gob June, Gob Jess. Thank you, everybody.
Meron pala akong
Ingat kayo lahat.
last announcement. In case any one of you, I'm sure you'll be interested to have a name badge. Okay? So pag nagkita tayo in the future, I have to give to you your name badge. Okay? Alam niyo yung name badge? It's like this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Credit para sa mga lecturer kasi hindi ako nakatulog, Gob.
Ha?
Hindi ako nakatulog. Credit sa mga nagle-lecture kasi hindi ako nakatulog.
Okay.
Thank you, Gob June.
Thank you.
Sige.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Thank you,
Gob
Gob
June.
June.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
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 Daddy Gov, I'll end meeting for all na.
End meeting para yung recording natin.
Okay, sige po.